What's up, Broncos Country? You won't believe what just went down in Denver. Sean Payton didn't waste any time after the victory against the Saints and has already started making the toughest decisions of the season. 5 players just received the news that no athlete wants to hear. And some of these choices are going to leave you jaw-dropped. But check this out. There's one specific decision on this list that might have been one of Payton's biggest mistakes since he got here. A player who received over $200,000 guaranteed and still got sent packing. That's right. You heard it. $200,000 thrown away. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to tell you who these players are, why they were cut, and most importantly, which of these decisions might have been a mistake that will haunt the Broncos all season long. Brace yourselves, family, because today's talk is heavy and full of controversy. Listen up, folks. Yesterday was Sunday, but there was no rest in Denver. While we were still celebrating that 28-19 victory over the Saints, Sean Payton and his coaching staff were already working overtime crunching numbers. Why? Because by Tuesday at 4 p.m., they need to cut 37 players from the current roster of 90 to get down to the 53 who will compete in the regular season. And man, this is the most brutal part of professional football. Imagine training all summer long, sweating it out in the preseason, giving your blood in practice, and then you get a phone call saying your dream is over, at least for now. But what catches my attention most isn't just the cuts themselves. It's how they were made. Because there's a decision here that's got me scratching my head, and you'll understand why when I talk about the last name on this list. The first to fall was veteran Andrew Farmer II, guys. And look, this decision, as much as it hurts, was kind of expected. The guy had a sensational preseason against Arizona. I'm talking about a performance that caught the attention of even the most demanding analysts. Farmer came in last year on the practice squad, earned a futures contract for this season. But the competition in the Broncos pass rush is insane. People, did you see how monstrous our defensive line is? The guy has experience. Played 8 games for the Chargers in his rookie season, recorded 2 tackles in the preseason, but unfortunately, there wasn't space for him here in Denver. The question is, aren't we wasting experience? Because experienced edge rushers aren't something you find on every corner of the NFL, guys. Now this one really hurt. Broncos Country, Joaquin Davis, that tall and fast receiver who came from North Carolina Central as an undrafted free agent. The kid showed a lot during training camp, folks. 2 receptions, 25 yards in the preseason. Might seem like little, but the guy was growing with each game. And believe it or not, he was very well liked in the locker room. When a player earns the respect of veterans that quickly, it's a sign he's got something special. What worries me here is if we're being too conservative. Sometimes we need to bet on potential, not just on safety. How many incredible NFL receivers came from smaller universities and started as free agents? The hope now is that he clears waivers and comes back to the practice squad because this kid doesn't lack talent. But here's the question. If he's that promising, why risk losing him on waivers? The third cut was Micah Abraham, a defensive backs that the Broncos picked up just a few days ago when the secondary was having some temporary issues. Former draft pick of the Colts, so the guy isn't unknown in the league. But look, this was kind of a short-term gamble anyway. Our secondary is already loaded with talent. Patrick Surtain II, that interception machine, and incredible depth at the position. Abraham came in to plug a temporary hole, and unfortunately, when everyone got healthy, there wasn't room left. He even played against the Saints last week, but it wasn't enough to impress the coaching staff. Josh Pickett also couldn't hang on to the roster, and this situation is especially sad, family. The young free agent ended up being cut with an injury settlement. He was dealing with a wrist injury but still had the courage to play in the last week of preseason. 5 tackles total, showing heart and determination even while injured. But sometimes in professional football, courage alone isn't enough. It's a cruel lesson, but it's the reality of this sport we love. The positive side is that at least he received an injury settlement, so he won't come out completely empty-handed. And here's the bombshell that could cause a real mess, family. Clay Webb, guard who came from Jacksonville State, was one of the most coveted free agents by the Broncos this year. Pay attention to this detail. The guy received one of the biggest contracts for undrafted players in the franchise in 2025. I'm talking about $15,000 signing bonus and $210,000 in guarantees. This is no joke, people. When an organization invests that much money in a player, it's because they see something special. Webb had ups and downs in the preseason, that's true, but he also showed flashes of potential during practices that made scouts drool. So explain this to me. How do you give over $200,000 guaranteed dollars to a guy and then cut him at the first opportunity? Something didn't add up there. Either it was an attitude problem that didn't reach the public, or it was a completely wrong evaluation by the front office from the beginning. And look, if it was an evaluation error, this could be a serious problem for future signings. Now, the raw reality that nobody wants to face. There are 85 players left on the roster. That means 32 athletes are still going to be cut by Tuesday. 32 dreams that could be interrupted, 32 families that will go through difficult times. And the worst part, some of those 32 who are still going to be cut might be players we can't even imagine. Because if Clay Webb, with all that investment, was cut, imagine what else might be coming. The only hope for some of these guys is the practice squad. There are 16 spots available, and probably Webb and Davis will be in the crosshairs to return, if they clear waivers, of course. But here's the problem. When you put a player on waivers, any team can claim him. And believe me, with the potential some of these players showed, it wouldn't be a surprise if another team decided to take a chance. What's up, Broncos Country? Do you agree with these decisions? Because I have several reservations here. Hey, Denver Broncos family, if you want to follow every move, every decision, every controversy of this season that promises to be epic, subscribe to the channel right now. Hit the notification bell because in the coming days, there's going to be a lot more content about the cuts, the surprises, and the choices that will define our team in 2025. Don't miss any play of this saga. Now let me be honest with you and keep it real. I think Sean Payton made at least one big mistake in this first wave of cuts. And you know which one? Clay Webb. Dude, you don't give $210,000 guaranteed dollars to a player and then cut him at the first opportunity. Something didn't click there. Either it was an attitude problem that the media didn't pick up on, or it was a completely wrong evaluation by the front office from the start. And if it was an evaluation error, that really worries me, because it means either our scouts aren't doing their job right, or someone in the hierarchy is making hasty decisions. Another thing that deeply bothers me, aren't we being too hard on these rookies? Joaquin Davis showed flashes of potential that many veteran receivers don't have. The big guy has speed, he has height, he has technique. Sometimes experience isn't worth more than the hunger to win. I understand that Sean Payton wants to build a competitive team, but sometimes betting on young potential can be better than just staying in the comfort zone with veterans. And check out something that caught my attention. All 5 of these cut. Players are candidates for the practice squad. This could mean that Payton hasn't completely lost sight of them, but he's playing a risky game. Because if another team picks up any of these guys on waivers, we might have lost talent for free. So, Broncos Country, which of these 5 decisions do you think was most controversial? Do you agree that Clay Webb should have stayed, considering all that investment? Or do you think Payton is right to be strict from the first cut? And what about Joaquin Davis? Did we lose a diamond in the rough there? That guy had everything to be a positive surprise of the season. Comment below with your opinion. I want to know if you're confident in our head coach's choices, or if you also have some concerns like I do. Because honestly, some of these decisions left me with more doubts than certainties. And don't forget, there are still 32 cuts left until Tuesday. If this first batch already brought surprises, imagine what's still coming. There could be veteran players getting cut. There could be rookies surprising and securing spots. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster. Hit the like. If the video helped you better understand this complex situation, share it with that friend who's also part of the Denver Broncos family and needs to know this information. And don't forget to stay tuned, because until Tuesday, there's still a lot of emotion, a lot of controversy, and a lot of hot content coming out of the oven. One thing is certain, this 2025 season has already started off eventful, and we're going to be here to follow every play, every decision, every controversy. Thanks, guys. Until the next video, and may God bless our season. Broncos Country, always together, in victory and in controversy. Go Broncos.